Tonight, we're going to go through the best of outdoor ethics and conservation roundtables, volume one. Paul's got a great presentation for us tonight. So when we get to that point, we'll turn the time over to him. Can you go ahead and go to the next slide, please? All right, so our agenda, in just a second, we're going to go through the welcome and the opening. We're going to have a safety moment from Michelle Bierstedt about energy drinks, and then into our main presentation of the best of roundtables. Afterwards, we'll have an FAQ about Leave No Trace core standards with Scott Anderson, our National Subcommittee Chair. And then we'll close off with some announcements in the closing words and some open discussion at the very end. Paul, if you wouldn't mind going on to the next slide. All right, if you please follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Two. All right, next slide, please. All right, please follow me in the Scout Oath. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country and to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. And next slide. Scout law. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. And next slide, please. And the outdoor code. As an American, I will do my best to be clean in my outdoor manners, be careful with fire, be considerate in the outdoors, and be conservation minded. All right, thank you. Let's go on to our safety moment with Michelle Bierstedt from Soup Council.
Yep, so under the BSA guidelines now, we want to try to make sure that we are avoiding those energy drinks, especially for our youth. They're finding that developmentally, the high caffeine and sugar amounts are causing some issues. So just imagine a Scout that already has attention issues, and then you're going to give him a high stimulant and wonder why he's not going the same direction you are. So I wanted to touch briefly because I know it's a problem in a lot of units at summer camp. Fall camporees are coming up, and we want to make sure that people are staying hydrated in the best way. Next slide. So plan ahead and prepare. Let's make sure that we have the right drinks for our Scouts when we're off and about on our hikes or conservation projects or wandering around at the aquatics area. High doses of caffeine combined with the other additives in energy drinks are especially a concern for children with underlying health issues or those taking certain medications. But high doses of caffeine are worrisome for all Scout age youth and may cause serious side effects. Energy drinks have been known to disturb the heart's natural rhythm, raise blood pressure, and increase the risk of sudden death. None of those things we want on a hike. These drinks have also been linked to reductions in brain blood flow, seizures, and behavioral disorders. Frequently, they cause anxiety, insomnia, stomach upset, muscle twitching, restlessness, and headaches. Just for fun, I asked our medical officer from this year's summer camp how many times he had a Scout that was throwing up because they chugged energy drinks. He said way too many, and then he showed me the confiscated cases of energy drinks from our young staff and some from Scouts. Energy drinks are to be discouraged at Scouting events and should not be sold at BSA trading posts or other retail venues. In traveling around, I've seen it in Scout in the trading posts. So just be mindful that we want to make sure that we're giving our Scouts the proper drinks, even our adult leaders. We have, for example, a 352 foot elevation change in less than a half a mile at our camp. Do I really want leaders who are strung up on energy drinks trying to hike that? So let's make sure we're keeping everybody safe that way. Next slide. Are energy drinks and sport drinks the same? Nope. Carbohydrates, minerals, and electrolytes, sports drinks do not contain caffeine. They're intended to replenish water and electrolytes through loss through sweating during intense exercise. A 24-ounce energy drink, however, can contain as much caffeine as 4 to 5 cups of coffee. and a single serving may contain more sugar than is recommended for an entire day. Those extra calories can add up fast and may contribute to obesity in youth. So the consensus expert medical opinion is that for almost all exercise environments, water intake alone is the best way to remain hydrated. So encourage the water bottles, discourage the energy drinks. With that, that's your safety moment for this month.
Thank you, Michelle. I forgot to mention my name is Matthew Durant. I'm hosting tonight since Paul is our presenter. So we'll now turn the time over to Paul for our main presentation.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Thanks. So let me start off by saying this would be a great time to go grab a piece of paper and a pencil or something you can jot notes on. Or if you're watching on your phone or a mobile device, be ready to take some screenshots as stuff goes by, because things are going to move quickly as we go along. So just to give a little background on this, Paula Booth and I were talking about what would be some good ideas for a roundtable. And she says, Paul, we've got lots of great roundtables out of there. We ought to do a best of. And I thought, hey, this is a great idea. So I said, let's do it, because I know there's so much there. And when I think back, I can't list all of them off the top of my head. And I figure if I can't, probably there aren't many people who can. So let's go through and do a best of. So I started to go through all 4 years of recordings to pick out the best. I figured, hey, it'll be easy. So I'll just put on some of the different hats you guys wear. I'll be a COEA, I'll be on the conservation committee, things like that. And I'll pick 1 or 2 roundtables for each one. Well, I started doing that. And then I started to feel like my old Russian literature professor many years ago. Okay. The first day of class, he said he'd start us with the greatest Russian novel. Well, okay. So when the second novel came around, he said we'd be moving on to the greatest Russian novel since last greatest Russian novel. And so this is kind of what happened to me. I started feeling about roundtables the way he feels about his Russian novels. I mean, depending on which hat I wore, every one of them was great. So since this is political season this year, now I'm going to use a word that we hear too often now. I had to do a pivot. I said, okay, instead of doing best of, I think I'm going to go through and I'll do a quick thumbnail on all the roundtables. So that's good. So then I hit my next problem. When I practiced my presentation, I wound up going on way too long and I forgot some of the roundtables. So that wasn't going to work. So my solution was I pre-recorded my presentation, and through the miracle of video editing, I now have a reasonably quick, complete, and I believe helpful 16-minute review of the roundtables that we've got to date. So as the different roundtables fly by, this is a lot of roundtables for 16 minutes, I suggest you jot down the year and month of the ones you're interested in, and then you can go back and look at them later. Because if you go to the website, so I tried to print the website here, and that's as much as I could get, and it keeps scrolling on down below that. We've got a lot of roundtables here. So with a month and date and year, though, you'll be able to find them and check out any roundtables that sound interesting to you as we go through these. So everybody got that? With that, and the other thing I would say is if you got any questions, comments, suggestions, put them in the chat as soon as as we're going through. And then what we'll do is we'll review them all at the end of the video, because we do want to make this interactive, even though it's pretty much a video. Okay, so with that, here we go. One of our goals is to cover the topics that will help counsel outdoor ethics advocates to be successful in their councils. Here are some great examples of that. Back in December of 2020, we covered the great resources available on the outdoorethics-bsa.org website and introduced the COEA tools on that site. There's still a lot of good information in this recording, but it's on my list as an idea for an updated roundtable later this program year. We started 2021 with an introduction to the new short-term camp administration process. The goal of this roundtable is to give Scouters planning outdoor ethics courses an outdoor ethics-focused introduction to enable them to successfully navigate the short-term camp process and to run safe, well-planned courses. This can be a great resource for Scouters planning their first overnight outdoor ethics course. Moving on to December of 2021, our roundtable topic was who we are and what we do. This roundtable introduces the people serving on the extended program operations team of the Outdoor Ethics and Conservation Subcommittee. Some of the faces have changed, but this is still a great resource for COEAs and Council Conservation Committee chairs to watch to help them understand how the Outdoor Ethics and Conservation Committee is organized to support them. Setting up an outdoor ethics program in a council isn't necessarily an easy, intuitive thing to do. So councils come in a huge variety of sizes. Each council has its own history and its own unique set of skills. In our January 2022 roundtable, I need a committee, or do I? We had people from the Outdoor Ethics and Conservation Subcommittee share what they've learned working with many councils across the country. To many people, the best part of the roundtable was hearing directly from the COEAs to hear about the key issues they faced starting up and what's worked for their councils. Following up in the January 2022 roundtable, our May 2022 roundtable was, I'm a COEA, what do I do now? While in January we had talked about organization, the focus of this roundtable was on operations, how to be an effective COEA. We started off hearing from a COEA who faced some big challenges getting going. Then we heard from members of the Outdoor Ethics and Conservation Committee who've worked with many councils. Once again, it was good stuff. The last roundtable that I put into the COEA support category was back in October of 2023 when the topic was interviews with experienced and new COEAs. We've heard loud and clear that people really like hearing from their peers about what really happened. This very interactive roundtable was all about peers helping each other. There's some great discussions during this roundtable. I've put the next three roundtables I'll talk about into a bucket I've called skills. Our goal for skills roundtables is for them to be continuing education for level 1 and level 2 instructors and not a replacement for any council training. If you have any suggestions for continuing education topics you'd like us to cover in the future, we'd love to hear from you. One of our first roundtables back in February of 2021 was Women Doing Outside What We Do Inside. That title doesn't do justice to this roundtable. It's not just about girls and women. There's a lot of valuable content for boys and men there as well. This is a perennial favorite at the Outdoor Ethics conferences. Check it out if you haven't already. In August of 2022, our roundtable topic was Leave No Trace Goes Fishing. This is a great example of how the Leave No Trace principles can be integrated into a popular scouting activity. Not just talked about, but truly integrated. Also, did you know that there's a certified angler instructor course and why you'd want to take it? In November of 2023, our topic was Leave No Trace Meals. Cooking is almost always the single highest impact activity we have on our outings. This roundtable covered the why and the how to integrate the Leave No Trace principles into our trainings and outings. Importantly, it also gave us some ideas on how to make it delicious for all of us and easy to clean up. What we focused on most in our roundtable topics is helping councils to develop their outdoor ethics and conservation programs and make outdoor ethics and conservation an essential part of who we are as Scouts. In March of 2021, our roundtable topic was, Where is Leave No Trace in your camp? Andrew Leary from Leave No Trace led us through the why, where, and how to include Leave No Trace in our camps. He also gave us pointers to resources from Leave No Trace to help us to be successful. In May of 2021, our topic was BSA's Summer of Service. That was a great title for 2021, but I don't think it conveys as much as it should about why it's relevant in 2024. This roundtable is relevant and helpful today with its focus on the importance of outdoor ethics in our outdoor service projects, and it offers some outdoor ethics focused project ideas as well. In June of 2021, our topic was Outdoor Ethics Camporees and Events. Once again, I think the name might not convey all that we covered in that roundtable. This roundtable is just packed with information and inspiration. Dr. Jeff Marion reviewed the typical impacts created by large scouting events and how to minimize them. We heard ideas for outdoor ethics stations at camporees. We heard ideas for themes for outdoor ethics-centered camporees. We heard ideas for event awards. We heard about incorporating outdoor ethics into large training events. We heard ideas for cub events for lions, tigers, and up. We heard ideas for cub activities and takeaways. Yep, this was a packed roundtable. The February 2022 roundtable topic was outdoor ethics guides and advisors. This is one of my personal favorites because in addition to talking about the Outdoor Ethics Guide Position of Responsibility and the Outdoor Ethics Guide Handbook, it featured interviews with 3 youth who are outdoor ethics guides and their advisors. It's inspiring and enlightening to hear directly from youth. The April 2022 roundtable topic was Outdoor Ethics Games for Summer and Day Camps. We learned from people who've been there, done that, which games have been successful for them. More importantly, we heard how they've made their efforts replicable and shareable so that others can easily use those games, that they don't have to be recreated year after year, person by person. In January of 2023, Leave No Trace traveling team Elena and Jesse joined us to share tips and tricks for first-year camper programs. Elena and Jesse offered a fresh perspective from people whose day job is teaching outdoor ethics, but outside of scouting. In June of 2023, Edwin Guevara, an educator from the Maryland Department of Natural Resources, introduced us to Technology for Teens Outdoors, phone apps for outdoor ethics and conservation. Our cell phones go everywhere we go, and perhaps even more so for our youth. Edwin told us about and demonstrated some phone apps that use technology to engage us with nature. Last December, we closed out 2023 with Connecting Urban Youth with Nature. Our speaker was outdoor educator Grace Vanderhei from the Aldo Leopold Nature Center in Madison, Wisconsin. Grace told us about the techniques that the Nature Center uses to engage youth, including area Cub Scout packs who've grown up without a nature connection. In May, we closed out the 2023-2024 program year with a Leave No Trace on High Adventure treks. Aaron Collins and Michelle Bierstedt from the Sioux Council told us how they ensured that Leave No Trace was incorporated into every aspect of the Council's Missouri River High Adventure Base treks. This is a great case study for successfully incorporating Leave No Trace into a program so that it's just part of the program, not something that starts when the participants arrive. We all work with partners as we deliver programs for our youth. Developing a strong outdoor program for youth sometimes requires that we work with organizations and individuals outside of scouting. In other cases, working with outside groups is a way to take advantage of programs and materials developed by other youth-serving organizations. For the September 2022 Roundtable, our topic was Understanding Land Management. Land managers of public lands are critical partners for us, but working with them can be a challenge for both us and them if we don't plan ahead and prepare for our outings. This roundtable will give you a great overview of federal and state land managers, how to plan ahead and prepare for a visit to a wilderness area, and how to keep everyone safe on your outing. In April of 2023, we heard from Project Learning Tree, one of our national partners. Project Learning Tree has 40 years of experience using outdoor learning to teach youth environmental literacy. We learned that they offer instructor training and have created learning materials to support Cub Scouts and Scouts BSA programs. The next month, in May of 2023, we heard from one of the youth leaders of the Green Crew. The Green Crew is a venturing crew that's a conservation community focused and very tightly integrated with their chartering Isaac Walton League of America chapter in Minnesota. They're so tightly integrated that some youth venturers also serve as directors of the IWLA chapter. They've had tremendous success in organizing and running community conservation projects. Both the crew and the IWLA chapter are accomplishing far more together than they could separately. Of course, we've had several conservation-themed roundtables. In March of 2022, we learned about the goals, requirements, and processes for the highest Conservation and Environmental Services Award for Youth, the Distinguished Conservation Service Award. In February of 2023, we heard about the conservation opportunities at the BSA High Adventure bases. There are many opportunities there for youth interested in hands-on participation in real-life conservation projects. In April 2024, we learned about the work being done at BSA Sea Base to restore and protect some of the coral reefs in the Florida Keys. Once again, there are multiple opportunities for youth who are interested in conservation to get their feet wet and help with those projects. We've presented 6 roundtables that cover topics to help councils improve your outdoor ethics training offerings. I think of these as continuing education for COEAs and Level 1 and Level 2 Leave No Trace instructors. Our very first roundtable was how to do online trainings. That was back in November of 2020 when we were all in full COVID lockdown and video conferencing wasn't something that most of us knew much about. While some of the information in the roundtable is a bit dated, the basics of planning an effective online class haven't changed. Cooking is an activity that we do on almost every outing. I've heard the argument made more than once that there should be a 13th point to the Scout law: a Scout is hungry. Cooking is frequently the most impactful thing we do on our outings, and it can be extremely impactful if we don't do it right. In the November 2021 roundtable, we learned about the why and how to use cooking as a learning tool. Your council's University of Scouting offers a great opportunity to get the word out about your council's outdoor ethics and conservation programs, as well as to offer training to Scouters whom you might not otherwise be able to easily serve. At the December 2022 roundtable, Advancing the Ball at the University of Scouting, we heard directly from fellow Scouters who found ways to successfully leverage the University of Scouting in their councils. One of our goals working with youth is to connect them with the outdoors and make them lifelong advocates for nature. Nature interpretation is a powerful tool to help us to do that. In March of 2023, Craig Hensley from the Texas Nature Trackers introduced us to what interpretation is, why it's important, how effective it can be with youth, and how we can learn more about doing it well. In August of 2023, J.D. Tanner from Leave No Trace took us through the recent changes to the Leave No Trace training structure, including the Leave No Trace instructor certifications and the new recreational training courses. He also gave us a preview of some of the additional updates they have planned. In March of 2024, we learned about the history and purpose of the Outdoor Ethics Orientation course. We learned why the course was created and who the audience for the course should be. This roundtable also included a great update on online teaching tips from Matt Durant. You really should check this out, particularly the segment on how to use Minecraft as a teaching tool when you're teaching online and you can't take your students outdoors. But wait, there's more. There's more than just the main topic in most of our roundtables. Do you remember the great video that astronaut Kel Lindgren sent us from the International Space Station for the 2022 Outdoor Ethics and Conservation Conference? That got us thinking, and a few months after that, we added a new inspiration and creativity feature to many of our roundtables. Matt Durant's taken the lead in creating this content, and he's done a phenomenal job. There are games, garbage golf is an example. There are ideas to up your teaching game, teaching with nature, and the phenomenal using Minecraft to teach outdoor ethics online are just 2 examples. There are personal growth items. Marvelous Mundane is an example. There are favorite lessons you can use in your classes. Leave What You Find at the Antietam Battlefield is an example. When you watch roundtable recordings, be sure to keep watching after the main topic is finished to check out these short segments. It'll be worth your time. Here's a list of what's out there for you now. Garbage Golf in April 2023. Right-of-Way Game in May of 2023. Teaching with Nature, June of 2023. Have You Heard, August of 2023. Light Pollution, October of 2023. Marvelous Mundane, November of 2023. Leave What You Find at the Antietam Battlefield, December of 2023. Using Minecraft to Teach Outdoor Ethics Online, March of 2024. Communicating Leave No Trace Online, May of 2024. Be sure and check these out. Last but most certainly not least, Scott Anderson's FAQs are yet another reason it's worth setting aside some time to watch some of the past roundtables. Scott's FAQs aren't your typical setup question with a slick answer. Scott answers real questions from Scouters, and his answers are educational, not just informative. Where should outdoor ethics and conservation be in your council's organization? Did we drop tread lightly? What qualifies as a conservation-related service project? Can Scouting volunteers earn the Outdoor Ethics Awareness and Action Awards? Can a Scout get a time extension to complete the DCSA? How can I become a Leave No Trace Level 3 instructor? Why is the BSA not supporting the Sustainable Development Goals? Should the BSA change the beginning of the outdoor code as an American to as a scout? What's the BSA's definition of conservation? Can a Leave No Trace skills course be combined with a Leave No Trace Level 1 instructor course? Why did the BSA retire the Cub Scout World Conservation Award? See, there's lots here. Be sure and check it all out. There was a lot there. And I hope you get a feeling for why I had to do a recording on that, because there was no way I could do that, live and not be here for a couple of hours. So with that, anybody get inspired to go check out some of those recordings from back there? I hope so. Anybody got any questions, comments? And as always, I'm always looking for ideas. Hey, we haven't done this yet. I'd love to hear. So what do you guys think?
There was a request to put the link to that in the chat, which I did. So if you scroll around in the chat, you'll see a link to all of the material, the roundtable materials that you have mentioned.
Great. So anyway, there's lots out there, and once again, I got to say, we're looking for, ideas from you folks. What could we do to help you is really what we're looking for. So anything in the chat is great. Send a email to Roundtable, which I'll show you the link for later on in the presentation. That's a great way to get in touch with us. It's all good there. So with that, I guess that's what I've got, and I'm going to turn it back to you, Matt.
All right, thanks, Paul. That was fantastic. Jeanette, you've got your hand raised. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I was curious. Did you guys ever do a how to start up Leave No Trace in a troop level, or how to get that going or rolling?
So perhaps in the context of an outdoor ethics guide.
Yeah, an outdoor ethics guide, a youth level scouter. We just finally got our program started, so looking for guidance.
Yes, I believe we have done a few roundtables where we talk about aspects of the outdoor ethics guide. Paul,
you know what I'd suggest you look at? Jeanette, I would suggest you check out the one where we did the interviews with the youth.
Yes.
I think you'll find some inspiration there. And it'll also point you to the Outdoor Ethics Guide Handbook, which has some information there. And by the way, the handbook's being updated. So I don't know exact schedule, but I do know that it's being updated. And it'll be available online, I believe. So that's
oh, nice. I was going to have our committee chair print a copy out for our youth member if they don't want a digital one.
And then the other thing I would point you to is if you have a level 2 Leave No Trace instructor that you know or could find, they'd be a great resource to help you with personal recommendations. So
thank you.
Sure.
Fantastic question. Thank you. With that, I think we'll turn it over now to Scott Anderson, our committee chair, for our FAQ section about Leave No Trace course standards.
And you may step on next slide. Greetings, everybody. So typically I try to pull a question that I'm getting asked by a lot of people. So I feel that it's a good frequently asked question to share. This particular one was a unique question, but it was of great importance, and it's going to cause some pushback, I know, and I'm prepared for that. But go ahead and step on to the next slide. So why did Scouting America not accept the offer from Leave No Trace to allow youth to take the Leave No Trace Level 1 instructor course? And the next slide, a little bit about the backstory here. So a volunteer asked Leave No Trace if a youth could take the Level 1 instructor course. Leave No Trace told the volunteer that they permitted Scouting America to teach the course to youth members. All of that is true. what happened, and if you'll step on the next slide, I'm going to give you a little bit about little bit of the history of what went down here. So August of 2024, Leave No Trace rolled out their new Training for All curriculum. In September or October, we were aware that the requirement for level 1 instructor course was raised to 18 years of age or older. And that presented a problem for us since we had been teaching trainer courses to youth for quite some time. In December 2024, we revised all of our literature to incorporate that new age requirement change. And we knew we had a problem with the National Outdoor Medal of Achievement, National Medal for Outdoor Achievement. By February 2025, I was able to have a discussion with J.D. Tanner from Leave No Trace, and he understood completely how the age requirement change affected our program. And he agreed that he would work with us to allow us to continue to deliver level 1 instructor courses to youth if that's what we wanted. At that point, I turned the question over to our outdoor ethics curriculum team, and they were tasked to determine what would be in the best interest of Scouting America and our youth program. In March of 2025, that curriculum group made the decision to not alter the Leave No Trace level 1 instructor course age requirement. And then in April of 2025, we amended the requirements for the National Medal for Outdoor Achievement. So
25 or 24?
In April 25, we amended that requirement. 24, you're right.
Oh, okay.
I'm a mess here on these dates. So it should have been August 2023, September 2023. I'm off a year. Sorry about that. Matt, I'll correct it and send you the slide for the update. Next slide, please. So what were the foundations for the decision making? Now, there's a few things that were important here. Leave No Trace Level 1 instructor course is now a certification course. And it is possible that it could add legal responsibilities to our youth membership. And, you know, it's hard to imagine what that could be, but it does add a different weight to exactly what that course was delivering. And those level 1 instructors would be able to offer certificates of completion to the full 16-hour Leave No Trace skills course. Scouting America is continually scrutinized for not following the standards of other organizations. And we are quite sensitive these days to try to not be viewed as doing something differently, that we are following the standards that are set. A Leave No Trace skills course focused on the way Scouts enjoy Scouting's outdoor program would provide a better educational program for our youth membership. And that was something that the curriculum team felt strongly about. And lastly, the EDGE method, which is not traditionally taught in the level 1 instructor course, but many of us who do BSA level 1 instructor courses always bring it in, is the preferred teaching model for Scouts. And it's already incorporated into their advancement program. So all of these issues were being considered by the curriculum team. Next slide. And so the decision that was made, Scouting America made the decision to not accept the offer from Leave No Trace to lower the age requirement to attend a Leave No Trace level 1 instructor course. Scouting America will follow the Training for All curriculum as it is written and will work to encourage and promote the Leave No Trace skills course as the appropriate educational program for our youth members. This decision removes any stigma that Scouting America is doing its own thing and provides us with the ability to focus on the Leave No Trace skills and ethics of our Scouting outdoor program that is easily customized to meet the needs of our youth members. Lastly, I dropped the ball, and I never told Leave No Trace that we had determined that we would not exercise that option that they offered us. And that is what led to the misunderstanding from the volunteer who reached out to Leave No Trace and was told that Scouting would do that. So I have to take the responsibility for that. Leave No Trace was officially informed on August 7th, 2024. My dates are all a mess. And we're going to go forward with the curriculum as it is written. And next slide. So what is exactly the youth educational model? Well, introductory skills and awareness, Cub Scouts and Scouts BSA rank advancement is providing that to our membership. Intermediate awareness, we have the Outdoor Ethics Awareness Award for Scouts BSA venturing, and we are about to release the requirements that are specifically designed for the Sea Scout program. Intermediate skills, we have our Scouting America Leave No Trace Basics course, or what used to be called the 101 course. And this 2 to 4 hour educational program is the ideal delivery model for Scouts in all of our program. And then advanced skills can be acquired by taking the Leave No Trace skills course that we feel can be customized to match the model of the way we do scouting in our units. Next slide. So now I just want to do one more review of the standards. We are required to follow the training agreement. The Boy Scouts of America, we have a blanket training agreement to provide the Leave No Trace Level 1 instructor course and the Leave No Trace skills course. This agreement extends to all councils. Every course approved by the council is covered under this agreement and must follow the National Leave No Trace training guidelines. So if you are doing a course in your unit, you don't need to go back. If you're doing a course in your unit and you have not sought the approval of your council, you need to apply for your own training agreement. If you get the approval of your council, then the blanket training agreement is in place. The National Leave No Trace training guidelines can be found by clicking on this link. Next slide. And a quick review of the standards. A BSA Leave No Trace Level 1 instructor course. The minimum enrollment is 4 participants. They must be 18 years of age or older. The maximum enrollment per course is limited to 12 participants. Each course must have a lead instructor. That lead instructor must be a level 2 instructor. It must have a co-instructor. That person can be a level 1 instructor who is 18 years of age or older, or a level 2 instructor. And then additional instructors can be added, and they can be level 1 or level 2 instructors, and the age requirement is not a factor. All BSA Leave No Trace Level 1 instructor courses must follow the BSA Leave No Trace Level 1 instructor course manual. And there's a link there to that manual. Next slide.
If level 1 instructors have to be 18, why does it say age is not a requirement in that previous thing? Is that should be stricken out?
Where are you?
Middle of this slide where it says additional instructors.
That's because they're additional instructors. So you have a qualified lead instructor, and you have a qualified co-instructor who is 18 years of age or older. If you want additional instructors, you may always add them to your course, and the age requirement is not a factor there. So if you have a level 1 instructor who has not yet reached his 18th birthday,
I thought you couldn't have one of those.
These would be ones that are grandfathered in, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's what I was
We
about to
used
say.
have them.
Yeah, I should have explained that. So we have a situation today where many of our youth members are considered level 1 instructors by Leave No Trace because they completed the trainer course as per the old guidelines, and they are grandfathered, and they are currently viewed as level 1 instructors. And they will maintain that for as long as they maintain their certification, and that's going to be every 2 years. They'll be asked to recertify. But for the purposes of running a level 1 instructor course, we require that the lead instructor and the co-instructor be 18 years of age or older. Gary, did I answer that?
Oh yeah, that whole
Okay.
thing will die out in a couple of years. Because
And next slide. So multiple level 1 instructor courses. Let's say you have 13 participants. You may run multiple courses, 2 courses at the same time. One would be for 6 and one would be for 7 participants. Level 1 instructor course, you still have to follow the guidelines, and all BSA level 1 course must use the manual. Next slide. Each course must have its own lead instructor and co-instructor. This is a skills course. All right. There are no minimum or maximum enrollment standards for a skills course. Lead instructor for a skills course must be a level 1 or a level 2 instructor. The co-instructor can be a level 1, 18 years of age or older, or a level 2 instructor. There's also a provision that a co-instructor can just be someone with in-depth knowledge of leave no trace practices, but the responsibility is on the lead instructor to ensure that that individual has the appropriate level of knowledge and teaching skills to participate in that course. And then they're asking that additional instructors are needed to maintain a 6-participant to 1 instructor ratio when enrollment exceeds 12 participants. I think that was the last slide. Step on. Yeah, there's not.
One other question.
I'm going to come there. There are no BSA specific curriculum for Leave No Trace skills course at this time. And the curriculum team is looking at that and trying to make a determination whether or not they're going to create one or just use the guidelines as prepared by Leave No Trace. And then lastly, a training code has been requested. And I will tell you that I've requested it on multiple occasions. I haven't gotten it yet. As soon as I do, I'm going to let you all know at the next roundtable. And now, Gary or anyone else, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
If a youth under 18, can they take the trainer course to get credit for the skills course instead of having to have a skills course specifically for them?
So next slide. Let's keep going.
Okay.
Here we go. The standards followed for a combined Leave No Trace skills course and a Leave No Trace level 1 instructor course. So let's say, for example, you have 7 adults that want to take the instructor course. You have 4 youth that are interested in taking the skills course. Could you run a combined program? The answer is yes, you can. The BSA Leave No Trace level 1 instructor course and skills course can be held at the same time, providing the standards for each course are met. When the situation arises that the total number of participants is less than 12 for the 2 courses, the BSA would feel comfortable allowing the 2 concurring courses to commence with 1 set of instructors, providing the number of participants over the age of 18 for the level 1 instructor course is equal to 4 or more. So you have to address the standards for each course, even if you're doing it combined. Now, that being said, you could have the youth take the level 1 instructor course and not do the educational component, and instead pull them aside in a breakout and do something different or something that might be appropriate for the way they do scouting in their unit. That I think would be the ideal model. It is also not impossible that, if you had them deliver presentations and did everything the same way as the level 1 instructor course and just say you're going to be qualified as completing the skills course, that would be acceptable. In that case, you have to file 2 course rosters. One is the level 1 course roster. The other would be the skills course roster. And whenever the total number of participants is greater than 12, the courses should be separate, having their own set of instructors. So, let's say you have 8 level 1 instructor participants and 6 youth. You should divide that into two completely distinct courses. The next slide. There it is. Now I will gladly, I do expect some pushback. I do expect some questions. How can I answer any of your questions?
I got a question, if I can start off.
Mhm.
Okay, so from what I'm gathering from all this, and I just want to confirm, so any course that you're going to run, whether on the troop level, national level, anyone, since we're all conforming to the national leave no trace standards, then you can't just run it with just one instructor. You have to have at least a lead instructor and a co-instructor at bare minimum, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
So every level 1 instructor course and every skills course has to have a lead and a co-instructor. Both of them must be over the age of 18. And the level 1 instructor course, the lead instructor must be a level 2 instructor.
Okay, here's my other question. So that kind of poses a problem for us at the troop level if we ever want to do anything, because I'm currently the only one certified as a level 1 instructor. And we have another level 1 certified instructor, but they belong to the Girl Scout troop. And they're not able, she's not able to go on like camping trips with the Boy Scouts and stuff. And from what I understand, that's the ideal area to have that class, right? So like, what do you do in that situation? You just reach out to your local council and just request additional volunteers, or because at that point, don't you have to set it up as a council event instead of a troop event?
So it doesn't have to be set up as a council event, but it must have council approval if you're going to work under the training agreement, the blanket training agreement that Scouting America has with Leave No Trace.
Okay.
If you want to do it on your own, you certainly can, but you have to file your own training agreement. Now, in either case, you're still going to be obligated to follow the training guidelines, which will require the 2 instructors. My recommendation for you would be to say you should reach out to your council outdoor ethics advocate, and that's who you would get the approval from in order to run the program, and explain what you'd like to do and ask for help.
Gotcha.
And, they will know. Hopefully they will know who else in the council is qualified to assist you, and hopefully maybe can find a volunteer that would work with you. It's
Also,
running a skills course for your unit is a great program and a great idea, but it does require the 2 instructors.
yeah, well, it also gives me a incentive to convince somebody else to be certified. So
It's true.
Hey, Scott, we had a couple questions in the chat here. So Cheryl asked, for the skills course, did you say that the co-instructor can be someone who knows the material well and does not need to be a level 1 or level 2? Also, do they need to be 18 or older?
They do need to be 18 or older. As far as there's some lack of clarity from Leave No Trace into exactly what is meant by a co-instructor who has outdoor ethics experience but may not be qualified. So I think if you read the guidelines for delivering a skills course, you will find that it says a co-instructor can be someone with good Leave No Trace experience and is a good educator. It is the obligation of the lead instructor to ensure that they deliver the program as defined.
Thanks. Another question. This one's from Lillian. Is there a request for authorization to lead a skills course? I only know the request to conduct a level 1.
No. And Lillian, that's a gap in our program at this point in time.
So how does the OEA know that there's been a course conducted?
I'm taking a note. So hold on one second. No, my suggestion would be to use the course authorization form and scratch out the word instructor level 1 course and write in skills course
And I can tell
send it
that to
in.
my people when I'm training them.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I forgot my other question.
So
It was about youth presentations. The big thing that gets lost when we skip to skills is that the youth do not make a presentation. And in my experience, if the kids have never done it, they're probably never going to do it.
yeah, and there's great value there, and there's also great stress and angst, and it was part of that is what was considered by the outdoor ethics curriculum team. We've all done I've done plenty of trainer courses where I've had youth who just really couldn't do it. You know, they just couldn't rise to the challenge of making a presentation that was valuable and that they were comfortable with, and didn't want to learn. And, you know, I went through many methods. I often found that if I got all the adults out of the picture and it was just the scout with his youth, and I said, just try to teach them how, you know, all you're trying to do is the edge method here to teach a cat hole. Why don't you just treat it like a talk to your scouts? So there's all kinds of value in trying to help them become better educators. But we felt that the skills course allowed us a lot of customization, that we could put in some training components. We could ask for presentations if we wanted to, or not at all, and just work on unit outing planning and do activities that would help them develop better methods for their unit to actually go into the outdoors and recreate. So I think the best answer I have for you, Lillian, is that it has given us, I think the skills course gives us the flexibility to deliver a program that's going to be the right fit for our youth, regardless of what their level or their circumstances are. And we can, you know, we can make those judgments based upon our knowledge of the individuals involved.
You got several more questions here in the chat. Glenn says, as a scoutmaster and in a district with no programs, the ideal for supporting National Outdoor Award Program is to spread awareness level far and wide. If I understand now, there must be a level 2 versus 1 instructor. Why not teach level 1 to do these at all units without a level 2?
Skills can be taught by a level 1.
Correct. And, you know, quite honestly, the Leave No Trace Basics course can be taught without someone who is trained as a level 1 or level 2 instructor. So all of these things are possible. And you got to remember that that's Leave No Trace Basics course is what we think the best delivery model for scouts. I'm trying to find that question.
Can I just, and I'll get rid of my second question, if I could just amplify that, though?
Yeah.
From my perspective, and the perspective I see it, at a unit level, I completely in agreement with what you're saying. And for the general scouts, which is 90% of the scouts, that makes perfect sense. But we also have a number of more senior scouts and experienced scouts who want to take on additional roles in the troop, especially after they get to Eagle Scout. I'm not necessarily saying a 13 or 14-year-old, it could be, but definitely once they get into high school. And at that level, many of them take on additional capabilities outside of the troop at district and council level. For example, serving on NYLT staff.
Yeah.
Not just as a junior, but as a senior member, like the SPL of an NYLT course. And so you have these scouts, and there are certain scouts in this subgroup that want to be engaged in outdoor ethics and leave no trace. And this, I don't know a good solution, because I understand you don't just want to have everybody, you don't necessarily need it, but there is a dedicated group of scouts who really support these outdoor programs and this aspect of our outdoor programs. And maybe it's looking at this long term of not immediately, but addressing the issue of, okay, is there a way that the council advisor becomes an approval authority? You can't just sign up and say, hey, I want to be the SPL of an NYLT, right? Why can't we do the same thing and say, hey, how do you become an SPL for NYLT? You have to have experience. You have to do an interview. You have to be accepted by the council to be able to be that role. We could push the same thing down to the advisor level at the council to take on that same role. Because what I have right now is we have all these scouts, and this is going back to the National Outdoor Achievement. I'll kind of wrap this up in 30 seconds. Under National Outdoor Achievement Program, the challenge that we have at the unit level is getting buy-in to this program. It has been around for 14 years, and there are just so many challenges at the national level that we have promoting this program. But if we really want to promote this as the epitome of outdoor programs across the board, a key component is the national medal. And the national medal, if we diminish the requirements from trainer down to just awareness level, what we're doing is we're saying a scout who has put in arguably 3,000 hours to do every other requirement is an expert in outdoor awareness and outdoor programs. We're saying, yeah, you just have to know a little bit about Leave No Trace. Interestingly enough, though, you actually have to run a bunch of Leave No Trace programs still because we didn't remove those requirements to lead the campouts. And so I think that I would like to see a way that at a council level, you can recognize these senior scouts who really want to be involved in this program and make a difference. And they can fill a gap that, quite frankly, we don't have enough adults who are level 1 to go out to our units and help them develop and execute their programs. But you do have scouts who would say, yeah, you know something, I'll work at my district and hey, I'll go do a traveling road show and I'll help teach awareness level at all the troops in my district. We don't have adults who can do that for the most part. Some councils do, but I don't think a lot do. So that's kind of my piece on the whole picture. So I appreciate the time.
I think another piece about this older scouts being level 1s is that these guys are on staff at summer camp and they can promote Leave No Trace in a very structured, well-taught way because they've been through the whole level 1 course. If we just give them a skills course and teach them about Leave No Trace, they don't have the structure to be able to communicate it to other people in a really good way.
I certainly hear your arguments, and Glenn, particularly, I respect what you say there. I would argue that a 16-hour course developing skills of Leave No Trace is going to be sufficient. That is going to be particularly if it's focused on the way that we're doing scouting. And I would say those senior scouts that you speak of are getting the educational component because they have done that in other programs. So we don't need to be delivering that. But what we do need is to create those experts of scouting outdoor ethics, and the 16-hour skills course, in my mind, can deliver that.
I would just like to, and I'll direct it. My only rebuttal would be completely in agreement for the standard scout, but also from a leveraging of how do we teach these programs and how do we educate at the troop level. If I don't have the adults who are level 1 or level 2 that can come down and go out to our dozens and dozens of units that we have in our districts and our councils, then we're giving up a potential pool. At a troop level, yes, you're absolutely right. I think 16 hours is more than enough to help develop troop programs. But if we have senior scouts who really want to provide more to the district and more to the council, and they want to give back, then we may be giving up an opportunity to take them, give them the educational component, not just the 16 hours of taking the class, but then learning how to teach and do the presentations, so that then they can go out not to their troop, but they can go out to all the other troops in their district and help bring them the programs that right now they're not getting at all. Most troops, I would argue, probably most troops don't have a true Leave No Trace program. I may be wrong. Maybe it's just
you're not wrong.
My thing. And so I think that's it's just how do we leverage these gung-ho scouts to potentially do it? And they are far and few between. And maybe that's the challenge, is that they are the outliers. And you can't run a whole program on the outliers. But anyway, I appreciate the chance to speak in the rebuttal, and I'll turn it back over to you and get out of your way.
Might I suggest a potential a thought here? Since there seems to be few adults that have the level 1, maybe it would be a good idea to encourage them to take one of the many online virtual level 1 courses that are offered by councils throughout the nation. I've done a whole bunch of those, and we have people from across the country, and it's been very effective in reaching some of those areas where there aren't very many level 1 instructors as well. The other thing to consider is there's nothing that says a youth who has taken a skills course can't teach about Leave No Trace. They just can't issue a certification, and that's kind of the main sticking point right here. Is that if there's going to be a certification issue, remember it's not our program. We don't own Leave No Trace. Leave No Trace owns Leave No Trace. We just administer the program, and we have to follow their guidelines and the things that we have agreed to do for them. And so we can't issue their certification without the proper certifications on our end upholding our agreement with them. But by all means, like, send the youth out and allow them to teach it. Just don't say that they can issue a level 1 certification or something like that.
I think there's a broader point. A level 1 certification, there weren't a lot of youth that really understood what that meant, even when we called it a trainer course. But if you think of how far reaching a skills course can be when you're talking about those high intensity scouts, getting them together, it's not all that much different than an NYLT or another youth training program and stuff. I think you will actually find that you reach more youth going into a skills course than you would into a trainer course, because there was a lot of pressure on youth. Now I have this, now I'm expected to teach something. Where a skills course, they're going to be able to go visit a unit. Maybe they're part of OA and they go visit units and teach a basic Leave No Trace within those units to those younger scouts. They're not going to do a 16-hour course with that unit, but they might do a camp out with that unit, or they might do in-unit training, or maybe they meet with some of the SPLs. Right, there's a lot of benefits to having that skills course without the pressure of saying, now I'm expected to teach something.
And I would assume that scouts at that level already have a lot of teaching experience. If they're serving on NYLT staff, or if they're in the OA, they've probably already learned how to teach. So really the only major difference between a level 1 course and a skills course is they're not giving a presentation in that context, and they're not getting the certification, the stamp of approval on that. But they can go take those skills and they can present them to others in many different contexts, in a troop meeting and in whatever. Yeah.
Yep. Summer camp staff.
Anyway,
It
Mary
doesn't help
Price,
NCAP if you don't have a certificate. The camps NCAP certification. It's nice to have the extra level 1s.
Mary Price asked a question about, is there a certificate for the skills course? There is a certificate of completion. It is not a certification. It is a certificate of completion, much in the same way that the old level 1, the old Leave No Trace trainer course was. So it'll be that kind of a recognition.
Yeah, and when you teach a skills course, you do still report it to Leave No Trace, just as you would a level 1 course.
Correct. And well, Matt and Paul, thank you for allowing me the extra time on this FAQ.
Oh, yeah.
I know it is something that we all feel passionate about, and I do appreciate everybody's support and the angst that I put some of our volunteers through while we address this issue. So thank you all, and thank you for everything you do for outdoor ethics and conservation. And I will stay on after the roundtable if there's any further discussion. So thank you.
Great. And if I could just jump in, Tim put in a request. Is there a 1-page document that outlines the new courses and requirements form? And I'd just like to use this opportunity to point to last August roundtable when JD Tanner came here and told us about the new skills course and what all was involved in it. So, and anyway, I just have to use this opportunity to put in a plug for my topic when we're talking about his. But
The other
anyway.
plug might be for the website.
Yeah.
Because Mr. Hammer does a wonderful job of having all the information, all the syllabuses, everything in a really accessible place and always updated.
I just posted a link directly to that page in the chat,
Thanks.
where all of those resources are. So great.
Now, was JD
Okay.
Tanner's talk recorded? I thought that was the one that was the last minute change that didn't get recorded.
I believe it was.
Because that was the one where instead of having a regular meeting, you switched and went to their meeting for their training? Or am I talking about the meeting?
Mark, did we tape that? Maybe it's not still on. Sorry.
Okay. Because I asked Paul when I missed the meeting, and he said, "Oh, it's a shame you missed it because it wasn't recorded." Because it was their meeting and not ours. It was we went into their site to see things.
Oh, well, we don't need to see a YouTube ad, but anyway, it appears it's there.
Okay.
Good. All right. It's time to move on to announcements here. Starting off with level 2 instructor courses that are scheduled. We've got Philmont in September, Central Florida Council in October, and next year, not too early to plan for next year, starting in April and May at Baltimore Area Council. So if you have not taken a level 2, this is a great opportunity. If you know somebody who you think should be thinking about a level 2, please share this with them. Also, Matt, is there anything you'd like to say about the conference coming up next month?
Yeah, we are exactly 1 month out. So if you have registered, you're good to go. If you haven't, unfortunately, registration has closed at this point. It closed on the 10th, I believe. But a lot of these questions that have been in the chat, if you're planning on coming, we will have more in-depth information about that. We're going to have a lot of great presentations, a lot of presence from Leave No Trace, from Tread Lightly, all kinds of fantastic things there. So those of you that are planning on being there, we look forward to seeing you in a month. Those of you who won't be there, we will miss you dearly. But we will see you at these roundtables where we will give you all of the latest and greatest information as always. So looking forward to seeing many of you in a month here in Utah at Camp Tracy.
Thanks, Matt.
Hey, that conference, does that have a virtual aspect to it? Because if not, I think that'd be amazing.
It does not have a virtual component to it. And we debated about that many times, but the decision was made that we would keep it in person in order to encourage continued in-person participation in the conferences.
Yeah, well, I can totally get that, and it's just unfortunate that I live so far away, and with everything going on, I'm just not able to come. But yeah, I totally get the decision.
Understandable.
Okay.
All right. Or Paul, do you want to talk about this? Or
Yeah, I will.
okay.
One of the things I'm always looking, you guys, I'm the broken record. Every roundtable you hear me say this. Okay, we're looking for ideas for what would be helpful to you for topics. Also, I'm trying to make these slides interesting, and I love it if you could send in photos that I can use on the slides. I think it makes just the whole thing a whole lot better if we've got your photos to put in there. So if you've got some great photos to share, like Evelyn shared this one out from Northern Tier, that would be wonderful. So please send those in. Now I'd like to go into my I don't know, it's not my Scoutmaster minute, but anyway, it's my roundtable minute. How about that? So out of Leopold, this is from a Sand County Almanac. I suspect there's a third commandment in chickdom of chickadees. Thou shalt investigate every loud noise. And what I'd like to do is, you read these things, and I like to take inspiration from these kinds of things. And you're out with your youth, and you're walking outside and you startle some birds. That's a great opportunity to say, hey, why were those birds there? What were they doing? Why did they fly away when we came? What did we do that made them fly away? What do you think the impact is on them of us making them fly away? Is it going to be big, or are they going to come right? It's a great discussion starter with your youth. So just take advantage of these kinds of things as they go. And as you read, look for inspiration in the stuff you read. It's all there. So that was quick. So finally, I promised the email address for the Roundtable team. So roundtable@outdoorethics-bsa.org, that very bottom line there. We appreciate any thoughts you've got, questions. That's a great help to us. And if you could go to that link there, that goes to a Google form, and answer some questions for us. Once again, that all helps us. You might think this is silly, and I've answered these before, but we actually look at that stuff every month, and it really helps us as we plan future roundtables. So thanks very much for doing that for us. And with that, I'd like just to say that there will be no roundtable next month, as most of us will be on our way to the National Outdoor Ethics and Conservation Conference in Utah. So we will be back in October, and we look forward to seeing everybody then.